Оно вам надо. Вы хоть представляете себе подводный ядерный взрыв на рейде того же самого Таллина и Стокгольма, который базисной волной сметет ваш город?
Russian serviceman and volunteer Murs points out that the officer who died in Moscow on the 8th of November, Colonel Yan Sukhanov, was Chief of Staff of the 810th Brigade, which is currently, as they say, firefighting in Krinky. This in turn indicates the level of control Ukrainians have in the area if such a high-ranking officer, who wouldn't appear in trenches, was mortally wounded. This post have the other thoughts on the Krinky situation from Murs. There is very little time to write, much less repeat what has been previously written many times. The most important, 1. The enemy continues and will continue active offensive actions, understanding that before the next mobilization in the Russian Federation, which was nevertheless postponed until after elections, he still has his main window of opportunity, in which permanent mobilization and Western assistance can give him the desired advantage for large-scale front movements. 2. A bridgehead was created in an area that, on our side, was very poorly covered by very weak troops. Well, because, firstly, it's a river. They wouldn't. And, secondly, on paper, the positions were much stronger than in reality. 3. A bridgehead has been created with the objective of pulling there and destroying as many of our combat-ready units as possible from other areas. For example, from near Robotine, from where the fastest firefighters were transferred. When all those who arrived are properly drawn into the fight in this area, a blow will follow in another place, where the enemy will find a weakness that will give quick success with minimal losses, which can be converted into attracting and disintegrating our last reserves, which are being transferred to this area for attacks off the wheels. In these battles, we will again lose a bunch of experienced people, whom we might not have lost if the country's leadership had soberly assessed the situation back in the spring of 2022. But this is about the question of traditionalism. Tradition is tradition. Time after time, delaying the adoption of the inevitable unpopular measures as much as possible. Time after time, they are still taken at the moment when the benefits from them are minimal, and the political losses, and the military losses incurred before this, are maximum. Just how quietly and inaudibly for the mass reader of the internet were the truly significant unpleasant events took place. Those that, having gained a critical mass, will collapse the situation, can be assessed by the fact that our crackling Z-telegrams passed by the news that on November 8, 2023, at the age of 44, the Chief of Staff of the 810th Separate Marine Brigade of the Black Sea Fleet, Colonel Yan Alexandrovich Sukhanov, born November 25, 1977, died in Moscow at the Burdenko Hospital. The 810th, which is no longer a secret to the enemy, is currently fighting precisely near Krinky, and arrived there as one of the first fire brigades. The Chief of Staff of a brigade is not a company commander who can be killed somewhere on the front line. The armchair Z community can thus roughly imagine how tightly the enemy controls the space around the bridgehead from the air. 4. I would suggest that until the end of the war we stop with red-white fights and deep philosophical discussions, because now we need to think most and most often about how we don't screw up the war and the country along with it. Meanwhile, Elon Musk urges Zelensky to agree to negotiations with Putin. He recommended the president not to send Ukrainian youth to die in trenches. Whoever goes on the offensive will lose massive numbers of people, and history will not look kindly upon them. At the same time, he said that it is necessary to sympathize with Russian youth because they didn't ask for the front line, they have to be there. What is it with this guy and his love for Putin? I never understood that.
Which is a lot of people dying for basically almost no changes in land. And the loss of the flower of Ukrainian and Russian youth, and we should have some sympathy for the Russian boys as well as the Ukrainian boys, because the Russian boys didn't ask to be on that front line, they have to be. So, there's a lot of sons not coming back to their parents, you know, and I think most of them don't really have, they don't hate the other side. You know, it's sort of like, as the saying about, like this saying comes from World War I, it's like, young boys who don't know each other killing each other on behalf of old men that do know each other. The hell's the point of that?
So Volodymyr Zelensky said that he's not, or has said in the past, he's not interested in talking to Putin directly. Do you think he should sit down, man-to-man, leader-to-leader, and negotiate peace?
Look, I think I would just recommend do not send the flower of Ukrainian youth to die in trenches. Whether he talks to Putin or not, just don't do that. Whoever goes on the offensive will lose massive numbers of people. And history will not look kindly upon them.
Russian propagandists discussed the possibility of a NATO-Russian war in the Baltic Sea basin. They threatened to mine the seabed and set off an underwater nuclear explosion. They threatened Stockholm and Tallinn.
И вот хочешь, не хочешь, а после подобных заявлений вот со стороны, например, той же самой Швеции, которая еще не вступила в альянс, мне так и хочется их вас спросить. 215 лет не воевали, соскучились, захотелось. Сидите уж тихо в этом плане, а то еще не вступили, а уже святее в НАТО, я имею в виду, а уже святее Папы Римского.
Но они что имеют в виду? Ведь понятно, что у любой из стран, которые обладают Балтийским берегом, есть ракеты, способные достать любую точку в Балтийском море. Они не такое уже большое. Это же не будет блокада, вот как мы нарисовали. Здесь же не выстроятся корабли НАТО. Это просто вот ракетные установки здесь и здесь будут нам угрожать. Так получается?
И так, и в том числе ведь блокада подразумевает и действия, собственно, военно-морских сил. Это действительно может быть патрулирование в районах оперативного предназначения, досмотр торговых судов, использование их в качестве так называемого призового фонда. Все это тоже не исключается. Но и в то же время меры те, о которых говорили и вы. Но все-таки это, по сути дела, приведет к конфликту Российской Федерации и НАТО. А этот конфликт может быть только ядерным. Поэтому вот жителям того же самого Стокгольма или Таллина, вот перед ними можно и такой вопрос поставить.
Оно вам надо?
Оно вам надо. Вы хоть представляете себе подводный ядерный взрыв на рейде того же самого Таллина и Стокгольма, который базисной волной сметет ваш город? Вы хоть представляете, что все Балтийское море может быть закидано нашими минами? Оно мелководное, относительно глубоководная часть только в этом районе. А мин у нас на Северном Тихоокеанском флоте, Каспийской флотилии, морских мин более чем достаточно. Накидаем столько, 10 лет будете потом разминировать, если еще у вас для этого останутся силы и средства. Вы думаете, вы хватайте за фалды своих не слишком умных генералов и адмиралов, которые предлагают вам быть втянутым в ядерный конфликт с Российской Федерацией. А кончится ведь только этим.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.